Welcome back to Healthy Cooking. My name's Alan again, and today we're going to be doing healthy beans on toast. This takes 15 minutes, doesn't take very long at all, it takes minimal effort, but it's got maximum flavour, it's delicious. So without further ado, let's get straight into the cooking. Right, so the first thing we need to do is get all our preparation done. So first thing we need to do is prepare our garlic. So 1 garlic clove with the back of a decent sized knife. You can either give it a bang with a knife or you can crush it with your hand, okay? So I tend to do it with one. And this just makes it easier for this exterior paper to come off, okay? That's going in the bin. Cut off the top of the garlic. And then what we need to do is we need to cut this into thin slices. I'll be dicing it personally. So remember, safety with knives at all times. Keep those fingers tucked in. There we go. Just take your time. There we go, there's the garlic done. Next thing we need to do is finely dice half an onion, okay? So with this, we just take off the bottom part of the onion, keep the root whole, because this is what helps keep the onion held together, okay? So take all this paper off. Don't worry if you need to take a layer of the onion off. Sometimes that is the case because the paper is quite stubborn. So with this now, cut 3/4 of the way through the onion at about, I don't know, between 5 and 10 millimeters in width, okay? Then what we'll do is we will turn it round and we'll cut the slice through. So what you're looking to do, if you can see that, there we go, is you've got cross sections, okay? That's what we're looking for. Then once you've got the cross sections done, we will then very finely dice. You're only going about 3/4 of the way through the onion, as I say, because otherwise if you go right the way through, the onion will just fall apart, okay? And that's what we don't want. Because it will just make, the reason being, it will just make it a lot harder for you to actually prepare. There we go. So, let's get this off here, into a little dish. And I'll also put the garlic in there as well. Next thing we need to do is prepare your red pepper, okay? With this, we just pull out the seeds by hand. Then all this white membrane you see in a pepper, we try and get as much of that out as possible. That's called the pith, okay? P-I-T-H. We try and take that because there's nothing to it really. It doesn't benefit the flavour and it hasn't really got anything to it. It's can be quite bitter as well. So there we go. So we just cut the membrane out. With this you can use a small knife to get to the delicate part, so a small paring knife. So just cut that out. And then what we'll do with this, we'll cut slices, okay? When you're cutting peppers, always cut them from the flesh side, not the skin side, because if your knife isn't sharp enough, you'll find that your knife's slipping all over the place, and obviously that's not very safe. So we'll just cut nice slices. And then what I'll do is I'll show you all the other ingredients you'll need for this dish, and then we'll pan over, and then I'll show you how the cooking's done. Very straightforward. There we go, so there's pepper almost done. There we go. Right, so that's all preparation done, okay? So you've got your peppers, your garlic, your onions. Then what you need to do is have your butter beans, smoked paprika, and sugar is in there as well, okay? Normally I'd separate all these elements individually, but because it's all pretty much going at the same time, you don't need to worry about it too much. Then we've got some chopped tomatoes, and then a nice piece of bread to toast to go with it. Okay, and we also have some red wine vinegar, just to give it a little bit of acidity, and that's why we've got the sugar, because sugar and a vinegar of some description, red wine, white wine, champagne vinegar, cider vinegar, the sugar will balance out the acidity, so you'll get a nice balance of flavour there. Okay, so now we'll pan over and we'll do some cooking. Right, so what we're doing now, we're just heating up our rapeseed, pure rapeseed oil, cold pressed rapeseed oil. It's important to use a healthy oil during this cooking process because this is what this is all about, okay? So what we'll do, we're just going to heat this up gently. We don't want to have it really, really hot because it will burn your onions, okay? So what we do now, we just put our onions and garlic into the pan and our peppers. The reason we put them in first is because it takes longest to cook, okay? So you always think about that when you're cooking. Always start the cooking process with things that take longest to cook. So there we go, so that's it. Once we've sweated those down, probably take about 10 minutes or so, maybe a bit less time. And we'll add our beans, tomato, paprika, vinegar, and sugar, and everything goes in the pan then, and then it will cook off, reduce down, and that's when it'll be ready for serving up. It's as simple as that. So what we'll do is we'll cook these out, and I'll come back to you in a second once this is done, and then we'll start adding the other elements in, and then we'll come back after that then to the finished product, okay? So. Right, you'll see now that the peppers, onions and garlic have started to soften a little bit. You may be able to see that. You just want them to the point where they're softened. All we're doing here is sweating these ingredients down. And by sweating, we mean cooking without colour. You can do it in such a way that you leave the lid off, or you could put a lid on top, and the steam that comes up from the cooking will actually help sweat off your vegetables, okay? So as I say, it's been on there for about 10-15 minutes now, just gently softening down. Try not to stir it too much, because if you stir the pan too much, the ingredients won't cook, so you need to leave it do its thing for a bit, and then come back to it, okay? So the next thing we're adding, as I said, we'll add the tomatoes, paprika, vinegar, beans, sugar, and just a pinch of salt and pepper, okay? Not too much. Remember this is a healthy dish, okay? So what I tend to do, I would add your beans first, your butter beans, and then what we'll do, we'll just add the smoked paprika and the sugar. Be careful when you go to the supermarkets and buy smoked paprika, careful it's not hot, spicy smoked paprika. There is a difference. This is a sweet smoked paprika that we've got. However, you can buy hot smoked paprika, which is very, very spicy. So unless you like spicy beans on toast, always try and find the sweet smoked paprika in a supermarket, okay? So there you can see it's taken on that lovely paprika colour. Delicious. Be careful when you're stirring your beans as well, that you're not too rough with them, because you can break them down and you'll turn your beans into mush, okay? So next thing we're going to add, so let that cook for a couple of minutes. Then we're going to add our red wine vinegar, okay? Just a little bit. We'll cook that out, just give it. Then we'll add our chopped tomatoes. And it's as simple as that. That's going to be ready in about 10 minutes or so, I'd say. We just need to cook it long enough to let those flavours infuse, let the ingredients get to know each other, and then that is done. Okay. So what I'll do, I'll come back to you in a second once this is done, and then we'll start plating up. The first thing we need to do though is add a pinch of salt and a bit of black pepper. Okay, so I'll add those in a moment. Right, we're at the point now where this is thickened and reduced. So now this is at the point ready for plating, okay? As I say, I've added a pinch of salt. And by a pinch, I've just added about that much, okay? Not much at all. And a couple of turns of white pepper. So now what we'll do, we'll pan over and then we'll start plating up. Right, so now we're just looking to plate up, okay? Very straightforward. Got a nice piece of toasted ciabatta. On the plate. Then we just pour our beans on toast over. Be quite generous. I mean, this recipe will serve, I would probably say, up to 4 people. Quite a generous portion there. Some beans on toast, and then, if you wish, just for a bit of fancy garnish. With fresh parsley. Okay, and that is as simple as that. So yeah, just to finish off, just a bit of parsley, a nice generous helping of beans on nice toasted, I've got ciabatta, but you can use sourdough, you can use wholemeal bread, delicious. So thank you very much.